Sa nakatakdang pagharap ni Chief Justice Renato Corona sa impeachment court, makakapanayam natin si Attorney Karen Jimeno, ang tagapagsalita ng defense panel, at si Congressman Sonny Angara na tagapagsalita naman ng prosecution panel. Magandang umaga sa inyo. Nagre-reunion tayo pag may malaking event sa trial, ano? Pero ngayon, masasabi na ba natin na nasa home stretch na tayo? Si Chief Justice Corona na ba talaga ang pinakahuling witness ng defense?
Yes. Palagay ko talaga nasa home stretch na tayo. And yun yung isang bagay na tinignan namin because we had remaining witnesses na nag-aantay nun. I mean, at least nasa listahan namin. But we decided na diretso na natin kay Chief Justice Corona na siya na yung pasagutin natin sa lahat na natitirang issues.
But wouldn't it have been more practical, even from your point of view, kung talagang lantern of lies nga itong presentation ni Ombudsman Carpio Morales na iharap muna yung AMLAC at saka yung mga bank managers tulad ng suggestion ni Senator Miriam Santiago?
Yan yung isang bagay na tinignan namin, Howie, because as lawyers, yun nga, that's the pattern that would make sense. Na tawagin natin yung mga tao sa AMLAC, pati yung mga branch managers. But then, we were also weighing this with yung goal natin to finish the trial early because we want to finish then before the Senate Impeachment Court adjourns sine die in June. So, inisip namin, tawagin pa ba isa-isa yan or paupuin na natin si Chief Justice Corona. And then, we'll see kung masatisfy sila based on his answers, kung kakailanganin pa bang magtawag na additional people. But we think kaya naman yung sagutin ito. Kaya nga, humingi kami ng dagdag na panahon. Parang ngayon, inaaral na namin yung mga AMLAC documents.
Kasi it might end up the Chief Justice's word or blanket denials versus the presentation of Ombudsman Carpio Morales, in which case, parang, whom do you believe? Is it pagalingan na lang ng presentation o testimonya, or are more facts required?
Yes, well, you know, but based on our experience, parang yung pinaka-effective dito na paharapin nga si Chief Justice Corona because even before, yung dati yung issue pa lang ng Basa Guidote Enterprises, nung binayad na 34 million pesos yung City of Manila doon kay Mrs. Corona, noong una, iniisip namin, paupuin dito si Mrs. Corona. But then, when pumayag naman si Mayor Atienza, then naisip namin, well, he's a more credible witness kasi wala siyang interest dito sa kaso. But even then, lagi kami tinatanong, bakit hindi niyo pinaupo si Mrs. Corona? Kailan niyo papaupuin si Chief Justice? Hindi ba siya lang ang makakasagot nito? So, naisip namin, it looks like siya rin naman yung hinahanap dito na mga sagot niya yung hinahanap. So, siya na lang yung paupuin natin para hindi na tayo tumagal pa.
Okay, finally, before I ask Sonny Angara questions, ano yung trigger for the decision for him to testify? Kasi this wasn't a certainty until several days ago, ano? Well,
yung pag tinatanong mo kung trigger, it's not really that hindi yung desisyon dati ay huwag siyang paupuin. That's why pag tinatanong kami kung uupo ba siya, ang lagi namin sinasabi, pinag-aaralan pa ng defense. Kung saan siya kakailanganin, at what point, at what issues siya kailangan sumagot. So, hindi talaga namin inisip dati na hindi siya uupo at all. It was more of kailan siya kakailanganin, saan. So
it was always a certainty he would testify because at least as far as media was concerned, parang there was also a guessing game na magte-testify ba o hindi. Parang there was a question there.
Yes, because may iba naman, of course, na defense lawyers din na ang pananaw nila, kung wala namang mapatunayan yung prosecution, then kaya naman sagutin yung mga paratang sa kanya through other witnesses, in other documents. Tapos kung walang matira, what is the purpose of having Chief Justice Corona sit there? Kundi magsasayang lang tayo ng panahon. But then, ang pananaw ng iba, well, tignan natin kasi baka naman may mga issues na siya lang may personal knowledge, in which case siya lang yung magiging competent witness. And ganun na nangyari, lalo na nung nadagdag itong issue ng $10 million.
So yun talaga. I mean, back to my question. What was that? At what point did you decide, did the defense decide, or whoever made the decision, or si Chief Justice Corona mismo, na kailangan na talaga mag-testify?
Well, si Chief Justice Corona, dati niya pang desisyon na umupo dyan sa witness stand. Kaya nung umpisa pa lamang ng trial, day 1 ng impeachment, nung nag-speech siya, medyo malakas po, mabigat yung kanyang salita nung sinabi niyang sasagutin ko lahat punto for punto. Tapos nung nagpapa-interview din siya bago magpresenta ng evidence yung defense, sinabi niya handa siyang umupo dyan sa witness stand. And ang sinabi niya, papakinggan niya lang yung lawyers niya because yung mga lawyers niya said, well, we will tell you kung saan namin palagay kakailanganin ka. And we, at certain points, naisip na namin, okay, may mga parts na kakailanganin siya. yung $10 million was not the trigger but also was an additional issue na dinagdag dun sa mga kailangan niyang sagutin.
Okay, Congressman Sonny Angara, spokesperson for the prosecution. Paano kayo maghahanda ngayon sa cross-examination?
Well, medyo kailangan rin ng preparasyon ng prosecution. We will study lahat po ng records ng kaso from the beginning, yung transcript, pati na rin yung mga appearances, speeches ni Chief Justice, pati na rin yung ibang decision niya in relation to yung 3 articles natin. No? Definitely, I think a big part, siguro at least half the cross-examination will be on the statement of assets ni Chief Justice.
Okay, and within that, maraming subsets yan, ano? So,
yes.
What role or how big a factor will the dollar accounts be in your preparation, in lalo na itong presentation, itong very elaborate, detailed, complicated presentation ni Ombudsman Carpio Morales? How big a factor? Because some people are saying that could be the smoking gun.
Yes, asangayon kami dun sa pananaw na yon. We think lahat kami nagulat. That's why we need that extra time to prepare because we have to make sense of the transactions. Daming mga halos 500 transaction yon, Howie. So, pasok-labas. But basically, pag hinimay nyo naman yung mga accounts, makikita mo na for certain years, there is a certain balance of dollar.
So, nagulat din kayo? Hindi ba ibinigay ni Ombudsman Carpio Morales yun kay Speaker Belmonte? At hindi ba yun binahagi din sa inyo nung last week pa?
Halos sabay nung binahagi ni Speaker sa amin. Halos sabay, nagtumestigo si Ombudsman Morales, I think Monday, and si Speaker, nakita namin yung report ni Ombudsman na inihatid sa bahay ni Speaker nung Tuesday morning, I think. So, halos simultaneous yung pagkita namin.
Okay, well, judging from the initial reaction of Chief Justice Corona, yun nga, he promptly called it a lantern of lies. He kind of dismissed it as a hoax, no? Kung magkaroon lang ng blanket denial doon sa cross-examination, won't that just pit his word against the Ombudsman at lalo pang hahaba ito dahil, how will the senator judges decide? They may end up saying, well, we need more testimonies. So, maaring humaba pa ito. Hindi pa ito home stretch.
Well, depende na rin sa testimonya ni Chief Justice. Pero kung general denial lang ang sasabihin lang niya na hindi akin yung mga bank accounts na yan, mahinang depensa yon, Howie, because you're up against official documents of the government. AMLAC may, sa ilalim ng batas, sa mata ng batas, may regularidad yan. Binibigyan ng trust yan, tiwala. Dahil ang assumption nyo ay hindi naman nagsisinungaling yung mga dokumento, mga official na dokumento. So, kung katapat ng official, pag tinapat mo yung official na dokumento kay Chief Justice, he is answering in his personal capacity. He's not answering as the Chief Justice dahil hindi niya trabaho yung mga bank documents. So personal view niya yon na sasabihin niya, hindi akin yan. Sa bigat ng ebidensya, talo po yung general denial dun sa...
Okay, maybe either of you can answer. What happens to this suggestion of Senator Miriam Santiago na ipatawag itong, I think, 9 bank managers para at least to attest or dispute itong mga nasa presentation ni Ombudsman Carpio Morales? That seems to be a significant part of this process.
Well, that remains to be a suggestion, and unless meron tayong formal motion siguro, but na manggaling sa kanila to subpoena, but this is really unlikely because subpoenas should come from one of the parties, and in this case wala pong nagpa-subpoena ng mga bank branch managers. But I think we should not preempt what will happen here. Tignan natin kung ano yung magiging testimony dito ni Chief Justice Corona, kung kakailanganin ba yung evidence from other parties like the branch managers or maybe people from AMLAC na nagsagawa po at nag-prepare ng report.
Well, of course, ang perception is kaya hindi masyadong enthusiastic yung defense na ipatawag nga yung mga bank managers, pati yung AMLAC is maaaring hindi in favor doon sa kaso ninyo or doon sa side ninyo.
Well, that's difficult, Howie, because in this case, parang damn if you do, damn if you don't. Because in our experience, every time nagpapatawag kami ng third party, kahit nga dating assessors, kasi we could have had Chief Justice Corona sit there from the start and say, pag dito sa salin ko, ang naging basihan ng sinulat ko ay yung assessed value na kinuha ko from the tax declaration. Sasabihin nila, paano na yung nalaman totoo yan? Kaya pinaupo naman yung mga assessors and then sasabihin naman nila, you're buying time, you're wasting time. So, ang hirap nung posisyon din namin. But kung titignan naman natin sa trial, as we can go along na kunwari umupo na dito si Chief Justice Corona and they're not satisfied, there's nothing stopping the other side or even the senator judges na eventually magdesisyon, sige, patawag nga natin yung mga tao from AMLAC or yung mga branch managers.
Okay. In the meantime, we have this, only the latest statement of Chief Justice Corona, yung lantern of lies. just as an aside, who coined that? It's kind of an interesting alliteration. Ngayon ko lang narinig yung metaphor na yan eh.
Oo nga.
Lantern of Lies. So,
Yeah, that's true. Ako
communications
din.
group ba yan? O siya mismo? O si...
Kasi, well, kami, natapos trial ng 7 p.m.
Yeah,
and lumabas yung statement na yan. Di naman ganun ka-late. Siguro, I don't know, 8 or 9. But I remember someone even asking me, ano yung statement ni Crown? I said, wala siyang statement because hindi ko pa rin nakita. And obviously, it came from him directly. And I was also...
So, he coined the term. Lantern of Lies.
I suppose so,
Okay.
because it was his official statement. And I was thinking, bakit nga Lantern of Lies? And then I was thinking, maybe because yung round sa PowerPoint presentation may below, tapos may mga arrows, baka dahil mukhang parol. I don't know, Yun lang yung pumasok sa isip ko. I don't know.
So, kayo ba, the defense, marami nagulat dun sa presentation ni Ombudsman Carpio Morales. Kayo rin ba? Were you surprised?
Honestly, I wasn't surprised that she had basis for that allegation in her notice to explain that said merong $10 million si Chief Justice Corona. I think I would have been more surprised kung dumating dun ang ating ombudsman without any proof kung ano yung naging basis niya for that $10 million. So, I don't think this is surprising because this is what we exactly asked for her to appear in court and bring with her documents that shows the basis for her notice to explain saying that the Chief Justice has $10 million in accounts. I think yung if ever nagulat na kami, it was more of with the participation of the AMLAC just because the AMLA law is very clear that you can only ask for an investigation on certain accounts if there's a court order. And in cases na hindi naman court order, dahil may specific crimes, which does not include graft and corruption or plunder, this is specific crimes na hindi covered dito impeachment, it still requires a resolution from the AMLAC. So doon lang kami nagulat na meron palang isa pang agency involved because this was not attached in the notice to explain. But all in all, not surprised that our ombudsman had documentary basis for her.
But ang expectation nyo, that particular episode in this trial, makakatulong sa inyo. Yun ang expectation nyo, of course. No?
I think
And in the end, anong conclusion nyo? Nakatulong ba o hindi?
Palagi ko nakatulong naman because like in any other trial, pagka may ebidensya ka that contributes to seeing the whole picture, it really helps the case. Because unang-una, tinatanong nga kami, ba't niyo pa pinasok yung ombudsman dyan? Because it's not part of the allegations in the complaint. But we cannot deny na it was being used in the media, in blogs, everywhere. So it was already casting a doubt on the character of the respondent here. So pag hindi in-address yan, assuming nagkaroon nga ng acquittal in this case, they would say, paano na yung $10 million na nabasa namin dati? Or even in this case, it was one of the senator judges who even brought up this topic. So we had to clarify if this would have weight on their decision in this impeachment case. So I think in the end, at least lumabas na lahat yan. So whatever decision we get in this impeachment case, we know it was in consideration of all the issues that was involved, even if normally you should confine yourself to the four corners of that impeachment complaint.
Okay, sakaling ang ma-acquit si Chief Justice Corona, itutuloy rin yung ba yung laban? Anong next step ng prosecution?
Pag-aralan namin mabuti, Howie, dahil meron tayong limitasyon sa ligang batas, you can only file one impeachment complaint in a calendar year, no? So we filed it December 2011. The next date for filing an impeachment complaint is December 2012. So magta-trial po ang Senado January of 2013. And we all know there are elections in May 2013. So that's a consideration, no? Kung may makukuha tayong prosecutors para prosecute. But I think definitely there are more grounds. Mas malakas ang kaso kung sakaling i-file natin ulit. Pero tingnan natin, let's not...
In fact, there were indications already nung Monday dun sa exchange ni Senator Santiago at ni Ombudsman Carpio Morales na maaaring magkaroon ng panibagong impeachment complaint by even end of the year, this December. Would you... kayo rin ba yun? Kayo rin ba yun? Or ano ba?
Substitution na, substitution. Parang basketball.
I don't think I can...
Bagong kasal to, ano?
I don't think my husband will consent to that anymore.
But are you thinking that far ahead now? I mean, of course, you're hoping for an acquittal, but then, of course, baka hindi pa tapos yung laban.
I'm not thinking that far ahead. Kaya nga sa akin, nung tinanong mo itong $10 million issue, I think it's better na we thresh this out now. But I'm not thinking that far ahead because I haven't decided if there's a new impeachment, if I'll be part of it. Because I think, at least with respect to this impeachment, we've tried our best to show that we need to have compliance with the law. I've at least tried my best to lend some credibility in this whole process to make sure that the accused here gets due process. That whatever happens, at least kung ano yung maging verdict dito, his due process rights were observed. And I hope that's enough of an example or a case precedent na kahit kung magkaroon ng bagong impeachment case, alam natin na meron silang susundan na dapat hindi bara-bara, na dapat maging naayon sa batas at sa tamang proseso yung gagawin.
Okay, it sounds like nagpapaalam ka na.
I was gonna say the same thing. It sounds like a valedictory.
Oh, yun na nga. One final question. Of course, nabanggit mo yung election, no? Ni-raise yung issue na yung father-son relationship with Senator Angara. Wouldn't it, so he is not inhibiting, but wouldn't it have been easier just para mawala na yung mga tanong-tanong kung ikaw mismo mag-inhibit ka na dito, maging mas less visible instead? You're very visible in this process. May nagsasabi tuloy na kasi baka gusto ngang tumakbo ito si Sonny Angara para sa Senado. Wouldn't it have been easier para wala nang, your father didn't have to, stand up and kind of defend himself in public like that?
But I think that's a very minor issue, Howie, kasi we were elected as prosecutors and we already took the lesser role, which is that of the spokespersons, and to lessen the entanglement with the senator judges.
Okay, a final word. I mean, she gave her valedictory. Mukhang by next week, magtatapos na tong proseso. Are you nervous about it? Are you excited? Are you relieved? Ano bang pakiramdam nyo ngayon?
Well, definitely on our part, it's a mixture of relief, no? Maraming sakripisyo na rin on personal and a professional level, no? Yung trabaho namin na medyo naiwan ng konti. But we've had to work double time, no? But I think may lesson sa mga publiko dito yung pagiging vigilant. Dapat bantayan rin natin kung sinong na-appoint natin sa Supreme Court. Bantayan natin yung proseso habang may nomination pa lang sa Judicial and Bar Council para yung na-appoint po sa Korte Suprema bilang mahistrado ay yung may talagang taglay na highest standards of integrity at probity dahil nagkakaproblema talaga ang lipunan later on pagka yung hustisya nakikita na hindi patas.
Okay, Karen, I know you like sports, no? Para itong Game 7 and Championship Series, no? I'm sure the players are nervous about a Game 7. Are you nervous about what the verdict could be?
Nervous more for what kind of, again, as a lawyer, precedent it will set. Because para sa akin, ang mahalaga dito nga, yung maging decision would be based on the law and the evidence. And I'm only nervous na it might reach a point na ang maging consideration would be, I don't know, political party affiliation or what's popular, because during the break there were several surveys. So for me, it's very, very important at the end of the day that this is decided based on the law and the evidence, just because that is what will remain. Na pagkatapos nitong impeachment, we don't know if there's going to be another impeachment, and we don't even know if there's going to be another impeachment not only against a Chief Justice but a President or Vice President or any other impeachable officer. But if we can show that the basis for every decision should always be the law and the evidence, at least there's predictability na alam naman natin kung ano na nasa batas, alam natin kung ano yung impeachable grounds, then at least alam natin kung ano mangyayari. There's stability in the process also.
Okay, very well said, the both of you, and thank you for gracing News to Go.
Thank you.
Maraming salamat, Attorney Karen Jimeno at Congressman Sonny Angara.